We got a lot for you tonight. We have Iran, and I might surprise you on what I have to say about Iran. Hint, I am not happy. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm not happy. I'll tell you why. Also, Jazzy Crockett is lucky she didn't win the race for Senate because she is in a lot of trouble. I mentioned to you before about her security. We've all heard about her security, head of security getting shot and killed. And then she had her statement about I believe in second chances, indicating she absolutely knew this guy. And he had a lengthy rap sheet. She said stuff about, I believe in redemption. He didn't have any violent stuff on his record. Oh my gosh. She hired a career criminal with a long list of felonies, all sorts of stuff. But now today, brand new video, an exclusive from CBS 11, a.k.a. CBS Texas, they call it now. Reporter J.D. Miles showing video and reporting that Jazzy's former head security guard, who's been shot and killed, 1 year earlier, was allegedly choking. You can see the video for yourself. It looks like he's choking and abusing and physically assaulting a person and ordering around cops, telling them how to do their job. Dallas police. It's unbelievable. You'll see that video in just a few. Also, the big story that we've talked about on and off since it came out and was broken was the Wylie ISD, Wylie East High, allowing 4 adult professional Muslim proselytizers to come in and pass out Qurans and hijabs. The story blew up again anew last night on Newsmax. And in fact, Marco Hunter Lopez, the young man who broke this story because he saw it happening at his own school in a social media post, was on Newsmax last night, and he will be on this show tomorrow, Thursday at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. So do not miss Thursday, the 9th of April, 8 p.m. Central. This podcast that you're watching right now, you can follow it and see it live on YouTube and Rumble. The address is there at the bottom of your screen. But we'll have Marco Hunter Lopez, the student who literally saw this and broke it wide open. Without him, we may have never seen it. And he's a student there, and he is the head of the Young Republicans Club. So he has all the details. And guess what? It's not going to be a 6-minute Newsmax piece like it was last night on Newsmax. It's not going to be a 5-minute post on social media. We're going to take as long as it takes to tell the story. And so you're going to get so much more detail. 8 p.m. Central, right here, Croc Talk with Chris Croc. But first I want to tell you this. This show is brought to you by IRSprob.com. That's IRSPROB.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, tax planning strategies. Randy has been my CPA for over 9 years, and tax planner. Use him for my business, for yours, etc. He's the best. Okay, I am very, very, very disappointed with Iran. And the reason I'm very disappointed with how Trump is handling Iran is because, number one, the nuclear material is still there. Forget all the details. I'm going to get right into it. I am upset because this is Trump wrapping it up prematurely, declaring victory prematurely. If we're going to do what he did, and I agree with what he did, attacking Iran, then it has to be finished. The regime has to be almost completely finished. It is not. Mustafa Khomeini, the son of the Ayatollah, is the one who reportedly saw the threat, according to Axios, about Trump saying we're going to end your civilization and bomb your power plants. He's the one who then reportedly reached out. But that's great. But listen, the specifics I'll read to you in a minute are saying stuff like, and Trump is on board with doing tolls to get through the Strait of Hormuz in a joint operation with Iran. They're terrorists. We shouldn't be doing any joint operations with any terrorists. Now, I got a little reprieve when Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary, said that he thought it was a good idea. Maybe he knows something I don't. But here's the thing. Every bit of nuclear radiological material has to get out of there. There can be no enriching of uranium ever again. There can be no stockpiles. And basically, he's leaving the regime intact as far as I see it right now. And that is complete and total fake victory. It is not victory. So what would be victory is the regime being killed or leaving the country to go somewhere like Russia or China to live out the remaining days with their billions of dollars. I wouldn't care about that. This is not victory. This allows them to reconstitute the nuclear program as the way I see it. This allows them, and I'm going to give you the numbers, because their missile launching, their missile supplies, their drone supplies have not been completely eliminated. So I'm not happy about this. I hope I'm wrong. I hope this does end up in a way where in 6 months I say this was brilliant, this is great, but I feel like he's cutting and running, because the damage done to the oil fields and oil manufacturing and natural gas fields and natural gas manufacturing is bad. I'm reading today that the structural damage is going to be a lot worse than we think for several years to come. All this is done for the right reasons, to get the regime out and take away their nuclear capabilities and their abilities to attack like they do and have been doing, and to arm and fund the terrorist proxies in Lebanon, Gaza, and Yemen. And I don't think it's been done. I think they hung on. I think they know they got 2 more weeks. They're going to hang on. And if they don't get a deal that they'll agree to, if Trump doesn't agree to it, my hope is that he finishes the job, because I don't think he's finished the job. I'm not trying to be rude. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think he finished the job. Now, let's go to what journalist Mark Halperin wrote about this today. Trump is now selling the deal, and that's exactly right. And you shouldn't have to sell us a deal. Did they have to sell us a deal after we bombed Japan? After we bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, did anything have to be sold? No. So I don't like being sold it, and I feel like they are selling it to us. Second of all, here's the Iran proposed peace plan, and it was, of course, in Iranian Farsi. And Farsi is different from Iranian Farsi, FYI. I know somebody who works in that realm on our side of the business. Here's Iran's proposed peace plan. Non-aggression. The U.S. must fundamentally commit to guaranteeing non-aggression. That doesn't mean anything. Maritime control. Continuation of Iran's control over the Strait of Hormuz. Are you freaking kidding me? Nuclear program. Acceptance that Iran can enrich uranium for its nuclear program. We're starting where we were before we struck them. That's even before Midnight Hammer. It's as if it never happened. This doesn't mean it's going to happen. This is Iran's proposal. But still, none of this looks good. And again, I hope I'm proven wrong. Primary sanctions. Removal of all primary sanctions on Iran. Secondary sanctions. Removal, heck no. Secondary sanctions. Removal of all secondary sanctions against foreign entities that do business with Iranian institutions. This is a total and complete victory for Iran if this happens. UN resolutions and all UN Security Council resolutions targeting Iran. This is insane. We're going to leave a terrorist dictatorship in office. They're going to claim victory because they never left. They got removed. And they're going to try to get all this stuff, and there's some kind of a deal. This is insane to me. IAEA, which is the International Atomic Energy Agency, oversight. And all of the IAEA resolutions on Iran's nuclear program, insane. Reparations. Here we go. This is where it gets like a comedy show. Reparations. Compensation payment to Iran for war damage. Oh, hell no. U.S. withdrawal of U.S. combat forces from the region. Absolutely not. Ceasefire on all fronts, including Israel's conflict with Hezbollah and Lebanon. That is not going to happen. And nor should it. Israel can do what it wants to protect its territory, as Hezbollah is and has been for decades and decades and decades and longer, actually, attacking Iran from its base of Lebanon. Absolutely not. Now, this is a woman who is a weapons or national security, global security, and weaponry type expert. Her name is Kelly Grieco, and here's what she said after General Dan Raising Kane's seminar today, or what do you call it, briefing, his press conference. This is what remains undefined and unknown. 80% of Iran's defense is destroyed, they said today. We said today at our press conference. 80%. Impressive, but what's in the remaining 20% of Iran's defenses? They don't tell us. Are they man-pads, which is what took out our F-15E Strike Eagle, with the 2 pilots having to eject? Are they mobile launchers repositioned further east? Because those are the ones that shoot out serious missiles. What altitudes can they shoot at up to? Like how high can they shoot, and how much damage can they do? We don't even know what the 20% of their air defenses that are still around. What are they? The B-52s that are still right now. Our B-52s are still using JASSMs. I don't know what they call it. JASSMs. I don't know how they call it. In overland, what that tells you is our B-52s are using JSSM. It's a standoff weapon. When you see it, she says, when you use it, it's when you don't want to fly into defended airspace. Where is that airspace? In other words, our B-52s are still using a system that tells us where we should not fly over Iran because they're still able to defend themselves from the ground, in the sky. Where is that section? Why are we still doing that? That tells us we do not have to dominate the entire skies of Iran. Here we go again. 450 ballistic missile storage facilities struck. 800 drone storage facilities struck. How many did Iran have to begin with? How many drone storage facilities did they have? How many ballistic missile storage facilities did they have? And the more useful number, she says, is surviving missiles and drones. Unless I missed it, she writes, that's exactly what they're not providing. How many surviving missiles and how many surviving drones? What else do I have here for you? The last week's intel assessment, roughly half of Iran's launchers are still intact. Thousands of Shaheeds, which are their drones, are still remaining. So we're leaving them with teeth and with armament still. That's not a defeat. Half of the IRCG small attack boats have been destroyed. It still leaves a significant residual capability in one of the world's most constrained waterways. Half of their attack boats. Not good, small attack boats. On their mines, 95% have been destroyed, but 5% of their mines are still there. How many is that? Is that hundreds of mines they still have? It's possible, she says. 90% of weapons factories attacked. She says Iran reportedly rebuilt significant production capacity faster than most analysts expected after June of 2025. So while they have 10% of weapons factories around, how many weapons can they build and how fast? Drone manufacturing in particular has low reconstitution thresholds, so they can keep that going and get that going fast. The Shaheeds are cheap. They're experts at mass producing them. They taught Russia how to do it so Russia could use it in Ukraine. It's a serious threat. That's one of the best weapons they have, Shaheed drones. One last thing, the operational questions. What can Iran still do? Where and at what altitude and how fast can it reconstitute? Remains largely unanswered. J.D. Vance saying this afternoon or this evening, the president has all the cards here. No, he does not. Because Iran can still close the Strait of Hormuz. In fact, right now, they are still only allowing about, I think, a dozen ships to go through today, maybe even 4. And they close it at a certain point. So, no, we don't have all the cards because we still don't have the Strait of Hormuz. Will Trump really start bombing again if Iran draws out talks? I hope so. That's what the Wall Street Journal asks. The biggest disappointment, the Journal says today in their editorial board, Strait of Hormuz. And I agree, we don't have control of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran still does. Also, their biggest disappointment, enriched uranium stockpile. We have no guarantee of getting it. As of right now, Iran still has 900 pounds to 1,000 pounds of enriched uranium to make a nuclear bomb, up to 11 nuclear bombs. Totally unacceptable. Caroline Leavitt today in her press conference said this. And by the way, one of the words I wrote down today, or phrases I wrote down, was fake ending. It feels like this is a fake ending to the war. It feels like we haven't won. We've done great, but we haven't finished the job. Caroline Leavitt said this today. I'm going to challenge it. She says, from the very beginning of Operation Epic Fury, President Trump stated that this would be a 4 to 6 week military operation to dismantle the military threat posed by the radical Islamic regime. We have not dismantled the military threat. I went through all the weapons that they still haven't taken out. They are still holding the Strait of Hormuz hostage. And therefore, they still are a military threat. There's no question. And they're still launching missiles today at Bahrain, UAE, and some other countries. So no, that's not true. And their proxy, Hezbollah, is still launching missiles at Israel today. Iran's ability to stockpile and build ballistic missiles and long-range drones has also been set back by years. But they can still, in a couple years or whatever it is, come back and rebuild their stockpile of ballistic missiles, which now go 2,500 miles, I believe it is. More than twice they told us they could go. They can strike inside of the heart of Europe, and soon they'll be able to strike in our country. So this has not, it's been set back, but that hasn't destroyed them and gotten the regime out. And I'm not saying we should do regime change. I'm saying we should kill them so much that the remaining people will leave and we'll give them a deal to get out of there. That's my concern. So I hope I'm wrong. I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy or Nan, whatever you call it, negative Ron. I don't know. But I'm not happy with it. And maybe I'm wrong, and I hope I am. Jazzy's security guard, who was shot and killed by Dallas police, ironically, was bossing them around a year earlier when he is accused of assaulting two men. They were suing Jazzy for allegedly kicking this guy off the ballot and keeping him off the ballot in a way that may be illegal or some sort. So a guy and his brother were trying to serve papers on a lawsuit against Jazzy for kicking him off the ballot or keeping him off the ballot to run against her. When he showed up to serve the papers, he alleges, and you're going to see video from CBS Texas, J.D. Miles, the reporter J.D. Miles, you're going to see this guy getting dragged. You're going to see him getting, in his words, choked. You're going to see him getting assaulted, and you're going to see the Jazzy security guard, at least the story, it's a 6-minute piece on CBS 11, but the story shows literally Jazzy's head security guard, who's now dead and been shot, bossing around Dallas police as if he was their boss. And Dallas police doing nothing to stop this man getting roughed up. Watch this.
Officer! He's a son. Look at him. He's grabbing him on the neck. Oh, my goodness. He just threw me down. Man, he grabbed me by my neck, man. Oh, he grabbed me by my neck. He came around my arm, man. I got to help. Oh, my goodness. Somebody help me. Hey, officer, you can't do me like that. I got
So there is Jazzy's security guard roughing up a guy. He says he choked him. Let me share some details from CBS 11. But clearly, in this 6-minute CBS 11 piece, you can see Jazzy's head of security, who's now dead after being in a chase and then getting shot and killed by Dallas police. He is clearly ordering the Dallas police around. So remember, Jazzy told us that she believed in second chances. She said his record didn't have anything violent on it, showing that she knew there was a long record. There was a long rap sheet. He had multiple felonies. I think he had car theft. I think he had fraud and check fraud or something of that nature, theft and all sorts of stuff. And she hired him knowing that. And they have not said what church he went to. Did he go to Friendship West Baptist Church, Freddie Haynes, where she goes? And he now took over her slot there. He got elected to be her replacement in the fall for Congress. Freddie Haynes. So I'm wondering, did this guy go to the church? Did she say, yeah, I know he's a felon. I'm going to hug a felon here and give him a job? She knew that he had a long rap sheet, a bad, felonious rap sheet, I believe. That's speculation, but I believe so. And she tipped her hand by saying, I believe in second chances, and he had no violent offenses on his record. This is all Jazzy's fault. This guy that was roughed up there is demanding an investigation by the Department of Justice, and I think that should happen. Let me share some details from CBS 11. The Dallas Express, by the way, saying that he was trying to serve her with papers, challenging that whether he, the man and his brother that are being pictured being roughed up there, had been improperly removed from the 2024 ballot. CBS 11 says this. The bodyguards allegedly assaulted the two men at a public event. This video shows both of them, the brothers, shows Robinson, her former head of security who was shot and killed, issuing commands to Dallas police officers. CBS 11 saying that it factually shows him issuing commands to Dallas police, while he and two other men on Crockett's security team physically removed this man, J.J. Jefferson, and his brother Lamar from her public swearing-in ceremony. This was a year before he was shot and killed by police. So Jazzy, we need to find out how much she knew, how much she overlooked, and what else happened. And I do believe a Department of Justice investigation is warranted here because there's a lot of bad stuff. He was ordering around cops. He's like a 5 or 6 or 7-time felon ordering around cops who lied and said he was with the department, some fake here, U.S. dignitary services. There's no such thing. In fact, let me read this from Channel 11's story. This J.D. Miles reporting exclusive story on CBS 11. They expected Dallas police officers to protect them, the brothers said. Instead, they say, Robinson, Jazzy's former head of security who was shot and killed, and the 2 other unidentified security guards choked the brothers before dragging them out of the Hall of State building, even placing them in handcuffs right in front of police officers. We don't have the justification to intervene. We're just told to assist them. He says, that's what I was told, says Jefferson, the guy who was roughed up. That's what I was told by the sergeant and 2 other officers. We don't have the jurisdiction to intervene. They're letting a felon with no ability to order police officers around, order them around and rough up people right in front of their eyes. This is insane and very bad, and you know it and I know it. Mr. Jefferson, the guy who was roughed up, says he's continued to pursue assault charges against the now deceased head of security for Jazzy and others, but DPD's chief at the time wrote, no investigation was warranted. Why is that, Chief? Is that because Jazzy is, was that under Eddie Garcia, I assume? Was that because Jazzy is calling the shots of Dallas police? The first officer sent me a letter, Jefferson says, the man who was roughed up says, if you want to file a complaint because we don't investigate this, take it up with Mike King, that's the deceased guy now, take it up with Mike King at U.S. Dignitary Services. Dallas police referring him to a non-existent fake federal outfit. And then he says when he was given an address by DPD where to follow up to, it was Crockett's professional office or congressional office in D.C. Everything was a lie, everything was a ruse, and how much did Jazzy know and when? The assault case stalled for more than a year. The brothers now want a DOJ investigation of Crockett's other security team members who were involved in the alleged assault and a search for possible criminal backgrounds. Robinson, the deceased now former head of security for Jazzy, later called this guy Jefferson and denied attending the ceremony where he roughed him up, despite photos showing otherwise. So this guy was a fantastical cheat, liar, and scammer, a multi-time felon that Jazzy Crockett hired to be his security. Wow. Are you surprised? I'm not. What is surprising is that Dallas police were allowing them to rough people up and fake arrest them in front of others and drag them off. A private police force that has no jurisdiction and no rights to do that. Well, that's a bad one right there. Hey, in just a moment, you have to see this 6-minute piece that Newsmax did with the young man, Marco Hunter Lopez, who was the one who exposed the entire story, and showing videos and everything of the 4 adult professional Muslim proselytizers who were allowed in the middle of the day into Wylie East High School to professionally proselytize, pass out pamphlets called Understanding Sharia, in Qurans that have a Shahada card. Let me show you what a Shahada card is. Here it is right here. A Shahada card is how to pray to receive Muhammad, how to pray to become a Muslim. Those were in the Qurans passed out in Wylie East High School. This is Wylie ISD, who has said this is way overblown, it's not a big deal, has fired nobody. Everybody at that school that I've talked to, at least that's outraged by this, that I've talked to, absolutely believes that the principal of Wylie East High School, right here, Tiffany Doolin, signed off and knew on this. They all believe that. I don't know what really happened in it, but I don't believe her. I believe that she was the one who approved it because 1 year earlier, here she is wearing a hijab on, quote, World Hijab Day, which nobody even knows what that is. And she said she loved it in all caps. 1 year later, Tiffany Doolin is now called on the carpet for, why did you allow 4 adult professional Islamic proselytizers to come into Wylie ISD, to come into Wylie East, and to pass out Qurans, hijabs, candy, and Understanding Sharia pamphlets in the middle of the school day while students were present. Here's the permission slip you have to have filled out for you to be able to get into a school as a guest speaker. It requires a teacher as a sponsor. At that time, there reportedly was no teacher that was a sponsor of the Islamic Student Association. At the same time, there was reportedly no sign-off by the principal, or she's not being held responsible. But you look at this form, for any speaker, you have to have a signature of a teacher that's a sponsor for the group. Apparently, there was none. So how did this get through? The principal, who apparently claims no knowledge of this or is getting no fault and no blame, and they just threw it on completely on the entire some front desk person and just slapped that person on the wrist. Nobody's been fired. It's a complete and total ruse. Now, with that set up, Newsmax did a 6-minute special that I'm going to play for you, or a segment on this last night. And Marco Hunter Lopez, the young man that exposed it, was on Newsmax last night. He's going to join me tomorrow on this podcast live at 8 p.m. Central, aka 9 p.m. ET, Eastern Time. Before I play that video of Marco Hunter Lopez, and Chip Roy was also on Newsmax with this segment last night. Before I play that for you, let me share this with you. This show is brought to you by IRSprob.com, IRSprob.com. That's IRSprob.com, helping good people with IRS problems. Specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategy. Randy Martin is my CPA, and he's been my CPA and my tax planner for over 9 years. Use him. If you have IRS problems, if you have IRS issues, if you need a tax planner, Randy Martin and IRSprob.com is your team, like they've been my team for almost a decade now. Call 214-214-3000. That's 214-214-3000. Or go to IRSprob.com, IRSprob.com, and tell them Chris Crock sent you. And I also want to tell you that my plumbing company and foundation company that has done all the plumbing and foundation work on this house for over 11 years is Due West Foundation and Plumbing, du-west.com. That's du-west.com. Jim Dutton, the host of Texas Home Improvement, is the owner of Due West. My wife worked there for 3 years, and as I said, they've done my plumbing and foundation for over 11 years. In fact, I had a water heater done. I had a pipe replaced underneath my foundation. They had to put piers in it. They do concrete leveling, retention walls, root shields, and everything plumbing, and they are the best. Call Due West if you want the best. du-west.com. That's du-west.com, or call 972-406-0912, 972-406-0912, and tell them Chris Crock sent you. All right, I'm gonna play this 6-minute segment from Newsmax that aired last night about Wylie East and the Islamic proselytizers allowed in the middle of the day in there. You're going to hear from one or two guests. One guest is Chip Roy. One is Marco Hunter Lopez, the young man who exposed all this. When I first saw the video, I literally thought it was fake. I'm like, there's no way that professional proselytizers were allowed in a school in the middle of the day. Now, and by the way, Marco's dad is Marcos, and he says, true patriots and journalists like you are the reason why Marco and Wylie students have a voice. Thank you. Thank you, Marcos. Marcos. It's Marco the son and Marcos the dad. But Marco was on Newsmax last night. I'm going to play the segment. I'm going to stop it from time to time to explain things. But it's important, and you'll hear Marco say this. The professional proselytizers under a group called Why Islam are literally funded and sponsored by, according to Marco, CARE, the Council on American and Islamic Relations, and the Muslim Brotherhood, which are both terror organizations dubbed by our governor, and I agree wholeheartedly on all issues. Of course, CARE, Council on American and Islamic Relations, is an unindicted co-conspirator in the largest ever terrorism fundraising case in U.S. history. The Richardson, Texas-based Holy Land Foundation, where several people went to jail for decades for raising $5 to $7 million to slaughter Jews, pretending it was Palestinian aid. CARE was caught on a wiretap in a hotel room in Boston, meeting with the co-conspirators, the Holy Land Foundation people, saying we need to wage jihad, a nonviolent jihad where we take advantage of the freedoms of this country, the laws, and the media to further the Islamic cause for the Islamization of this country. and they sued later on to get their name removed as an unindicted co-conspirator, but the judge said to Care, no, you are and always will be. Now, let's play the Newsmax coverage from last night. It's fantastic. And again, Marco, the young man here, is going to be on this show tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central and 9 p.m. Eastern. And by the way, here is the, hold on, this is the way to watch the podcast tomorrow. Rumble at Croc Talk or YouTube at Croc Talk Radio. Address right there on your screen. Let's go right now, though, to the story from Newsmax.
Today there was an organization called Why Islam, and they were giving hijabs to Muslim girls out throughout the high school, and they were giving out Qurans, and they also had pamphlets about Sharia law and other Islamic things, and they were giving out these bags. And I had a discussion with the women that were there, and we're trying to understand what's going on.
Like what? How crazy is that? That's in Texas at a high school. I got so many emails last night from people in Texas saying this kind of thing is happening. An Islamic group called Why Islam was allowed to hand out free Qurans and pamphlets on Sharia law, like that's a good thing, on World Hijab Day, which is not a real thing. There's no such thing as World Hijab Day. And the high school allowed all of this during lunchtime. Why Islam deliberately allowed to indoctrinate kids at a public high school, which parents and students there are clearly against.
Thank you so much for promoting the Islamic radical murderers on your campus.
By the way, you're about to see me in my little speech here. Here we go.
This is not about criticizing any specific religion. This is about maintaining neutrality, fairness, and a religious boundary from education and religion.
What was passed out in Wylie East? Understanding Sharia. They're trying to put our daughters, wrap their beauty up and hide it. This is not a Muslim nation. This is a Christian nation.
This is just, it's insanity. Marco Hunter Lopez is a student at Wylie East High School outside Dallas. He brought this story to our attention. He's also the president of the high school Republicans there. We're also joined by Texas Republican Congressman Chip Roy, who introduced a bill to preserve America from Sharia law in Congress. Great to have you both on. Marco, we'll start with you. So this was happening at lunch. I'm just wondering, were there any students like remotely interested in any of that?
So I was actually at a club meeting, and I was leaving to go get lunch, and I passed by the front of the school, and I see a big booth with Islam at the front of it. And I said, what is this about? And so I'm eating lunch, and I don't even want to give it attention, but I walked up, and I see about 8 or 9 different pamphlets spread out, and I see one titled Understanding Sharia. I also see the Qurans that they're giving out, which actually have the Shahada at the back of it, which is the proclamation that they want you to recite to become Muslim. And so this...
Let's pause for a second on that. Can you believe this? They're passing out Qurans. That's Marco, who'll be on my show tomorrow. They're passing out Qurans, and they're giving you a card in the back for how to pray to become a Muslim. This is as direct and compelling and searing to turn your child into a Muslim than anything you can possibly think of, other than tying the kid down or torturing him into becoming a Muslim. This is insanity. And that's what was allowed at Wylie East High under Wylie ISD. And Wylie ISD has repeatedly said, when we show up and speak at those board meetings, and we're going to be there for the next one on April 20th at 5:45 p.m., and you should join us to speak out. What they've said is, you're making a huge deal out of nothing. We're done with it. We've addressed it. Move on. And my answer and everybody's answers that's on our side is, oh, hell no. Let's continue on with Marco and Newsmax.
It was actually an organization sponsored by the Muslim Brotherhood and the Council on American Islamic Relations, which the governor of Texas has designated both of them as terrorist organizations. And there was students that were at the table, and the parents that I've talked to and the students I've talked to are not okay with this.
Congressman, it's like insanity. Okay, so here we go. Understanding Sharia. According to Sharia law, a woman who's been raped can't testify against her rapist, and rape is not considered rape if the girl is over 8 years old.
So this is what they want our kids to do, to subscribe to this kind of insanity and pedophilia.
Sharia law and a public school allowed this in your state, Congressman.
Well, first of all, Hunter, thank you. Thank you for being willing to lead on this, for standing up. We need that courage among many students to stand up for what is right. And what we're seeing right now in Wylie, what we're seeing now in Collin County, it should be concerning and setting off alarm bells for not just that part of the North Dallas area in Texas, but the entire state of Texas, the entire nation. Mamdani, what's happening in Dearborn, Michigan, what's happening in Minneapolis, what's happening with Epic City, not far from where Hunter lives, what's happening in Houston, Austin. The Muslim Brotherhood had a memorandum in 1991 that was very detailed and specific about the goals and the objectives of jihad against the West. And what's happening right now is a specific and funded effort to Islamify Texas and the entire West. And Wylie is just a perfect example of it. What used to be a small suburban town, now you've got interest there trying to Islamify it. This is, not just a problem with respect to passing out materials at school. This is a part of a political ideology at war with the West. If we don't recognize it, you can't win it. You can't win a war that you don't acknowledge exists.
That's such a good point. Congressman, listen to this. This is a Muslim woman trying to defend all of this at that same school board meeting. Take a look.
This is where it gets nuts. And this is what I told you about after we went to that meeting 2 months ago.
Promoting understanding tolerance. It seeks to create empathy. It supports freedom of choice, that every woman has a right to choose her attire.
There is no compulsion in conversion to Islam. No one is being asked to change their beliefs. Providing access to a religious text, any religious text, is not a safety issue.
Providing religious texts. So that woman sees no problem in allowing professional proselytizers of her faith, or any faith apparently, to just come in and have at our kids in the middle of a public school, in the middle of the school day. Now, how's that for insanity? And it's crazy.
All right, Marco, have they ever passed out Bibles at lunchtime at your school?
No, sir, not that I'm aware of. And the very coincidental thing is that they are very hostile towards conservative students. We tried 2 years in a row to get our club approved, and I had to get Congressman Self involved, our state representatives. I just reached out to the governor. They're very hostile towards conservatives, but they're obviously perfectly fine with Sharia law.
Marco, can I just ask you, I've only got a few seconds, but what's the sales pitch for Sharia law?
I guess they just think that they can come up to students because we're gullible, I guess, and I think that they're just trying to get us where they can get us. And, we're Western civilization, and they're trying to attack us at the very root of us when we're young, and that's where they're trying to get us.
Congressman, I've got literally like 30 seconds, but imagine the sales pitch to women telling them that, wearing a hijab is going to be great.
It's absurd. Here's all you need to know. We had a hearing on Sharia. My Democratic counterpart acknowledged that, no, it's not just Sharia. Sharia is for all of Islam. Keep that in mind. It is a march of Islam through the West. We have to stand up against it.
Okay, that was Newsmax last night. I have the privilege of tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. On this show, I have the privilege of talking to Marco in depth, so there won't be any time constraints. So we can really tell a story. We can really get into it. But some of the biggest takeaways from this when it happened on the first school board meeting was, number one, the school board thinks it's all done. Everything's been handled. It has not. Nobody's been fired. Number two, the Islamic people, most of the Islamic people thought it was no big deal. A lot of the people in Wylie ISD that are on the school board literally have besmirched people like myself or others who spoke out and have ridiculed this, saying it's already been addressed. We're moving on. And you're not going to move on because this is insane what happened. So don't miss that tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern on this podcast. Here's where you follow it, where you can see it all happen live. If I can find, where's my little graphic? Where did it go? I guess I lost it. Anyways, watch that tomorrow on this channel or anywhere you're seeing the podcast right now. Okay. More on the former FedEx driver who pleaded guilty to murdering little 7-year-old Athena Strand, who was 67 pounds. Remember yesterday the line from the district attorney of Wise County who's prosecuting this case, a death penalty case for the murder of a 7-year-old girl. You're going to see what a 250-pound man can do to a 67-pound little girl. In playing the audio of her strangulation and murder, The murderer, I won't say his name, but the murderer said that he covered up the camera so that they wouldn't see it, the FedEx camera, they wouldn't see him murdering her, but you could still hear it. So the jury had to listen to a little 7-year-old girl be murdered by a 250-pound grown man. It's horrifying. Now let me share this from the coverage of today, because right now he already pleaded guilty yesterday. He's hoping that he can escape the death penalty and get life in prison. And in my prayer, and I hope that your prayer, is that this guy will not be spared. We don't do the death penalty for vengeance. We don't do the death penalty to save money, because it's more expensive with the death penalty with the appeals. We don't do it because it's for recidivism, to keep people away from doing these crimes, because they still commit these crimes regardless of the death penalty. We do it because it's the right justice. It is administered by people who are not involved soberly. It was implemented by the people of the state of Texas and our government, and it's there for justice. And this is a case for justice, and it's crying out for this guy to be put down. I like to say, put him into the ground. He needs to go in the ground. That's where he belongs. And Romans 13:1 says, by St. Paul, was written, saying that if you obey the laws of the land, you have nothing to fear. But if you disobey the laws of the land, you have every reason to fear, because God gave the government a sword for a reason. That sword is to kill people that need to be killed through justice. And this case demands justice. Let me share what came out today in the death penalty phase of the trial. There are two sentencing options, says the Dallas Morning News, for the jurors: the death penalty or life in prison without the chance of parole. He described how he, quote, tossed Athena's body into some bamboo off the county road. And this was critical. An attorney who I think was on Fox 4, maybe it was WFA, was saying that's critical, because if I'm the defense or the prosecution, he says, I'm going to use that in this phase to say, he said he tossed her. That shows how he felt about Athena and how he treated her. He treated her like she was a piece of garbage. And that's another reason to put him to death. Pray, please, the jury puts this man to death. It is proper justice. Pray this man is put in the ground. Please. At first we tried to break... This is the disgustingness of the testimony. The now admitted and murderer said that he first tried to break little Athena Strand's neck so that her death would be quick and painless. Nobody believes that. He said when that didn't work, he strangled her. A 250-pound-year-old grown man strangling a 67-pound 7-year-old. Everything was at risk, he said, explaining why he killed her. My family, my job. See, it's all about me, him, and his family, and his job, and his sexual gratification. By the way, there's a 16-year-old who says that he raped her, and that case is being investigated, along with some others, that he raped underage girls prior to this, 10 years prior to this. Also, the former sheriff of Wise County, where this happened, says that her body was naked and that some of the DNA evidence showed sexual assault. And what I said all along in this case, before that came out yesterday, literally in the news, what I said all along about that case was that I believe there was a sexual assault, and that's exactly why somebody like this would do this. You don't just grab somebody and kill them. Some people do, but no. And don't believe what the Dallas Morning News said yesterday, because they said there's no evidence of sexual assault. The former sheriff says there is, and there was. The company that managed the camera systems for FedEx pulled the short video clips from the murderer's vehicle. They viewed the footage. The cops viewed the footage and saw that Athena was alive and being placed inside the van by the killer. We saw that picture yesterday, that horrifying picture, and here it is again. And somebody said yesterday, take this post down because it showed that picture. And I say, absolutely not. That is a little girl who's precious and innocent, that was alive. That man put her on that truck and told her, don't scream or say anything out loud, because or I'll kill you, I'll harm you or your family. That's the last time she was alive right there, that precious little girl. It's important to see the brutality of these people and to see what kind of people are out there that would hurt our children. That's why it's important to show it. So no, I won't take it down. He was accused, according to the Star Telegram today, of sexually assaulting another minor years prior. 2 months after he was arrested in the kidnapping and killing of Athena Strand, the woman came out and told detectives he raped her in 2013 and 2014 when she was 16. He was 22, aware of the fact that she was beneath the age of consent, obviously. 22-year-olds cannot have sex with 16-year-olds unless they want to go to jail. She also said it was a sexual assault. She was passed out and he raped her. So it wasn't just sex that was a minor. It was rape, according to her. Now, this is great. I got some stuff. We'll have a little fun here. I got to play you this. This is, remember when Cory Booker had his 24-hour speech, speaking on the Senate floor and was acting like he was a hero, never went to the bathroom. I told you he had to be wearing diapers. In fact, I showed you when this happened. I said, this is the exact moment. I played the video. This is the exact moment when I think he peed in his pants with a diaper. Because no man or woman can go 24 hours without going to the bathroom. Everybody knows that. You're lucky if you can go a couple hours. I can't go more than an hour because my Native American name in this household is Man of Small Bladder. I have the smallest bladder on the planet. Every hour I'm going, if not more. Too bad for me, right? And when we're on road trips, I always blame one of the kids for having to go to the bathroom. I say, "Oh, you got to go, don't you?" No. Yes, you do. Everybody gets mad. But here's Cory Booker's wife saying he could have died. In his 24-hour speech, he could have died.
It's not super safe to stand for 25 hours. Like, your body kind of just, break down. And if you fall over, you could hit your head. So, those are the things that were going through our head. Yes, I wanted him to break the record, but I also wanted him to not die or, get injured. I wasn't going to eat for a really long period of time. Just being dehydrated alone was, worrying me.
He could have died. Let's go back to the speech. He could have died.
But his mom and I couldn't be there, so there was...
He could have gotten diaper rash.
a point where I was calling her, because I think that, everybody was just nervous.
I rise with the intention of disrupting the normal business of the United States.
All right, enough of that. What a joke. What an absolute joke. What else do I have for you? Oh, not congressman, a council member, city council member in Fort Worth, Michael Crane, officially charged today with DWI after his January arrest. Let's look at that nice mugshot. Look at that. Wow. Do you want him to be your city council member? Wow. Looks like a serial killer or a lunatic. That's your city council member for those who live in far west and southwest Fort Worth, including TCU, the area around TCU. Look at that guy. Hard pass on that. I have a rule with DUIs, or DWIs. If it's your first one, it's not excusable. It's not an accident if you get into a crash and you're drunk and driving. It is a crash, not an accident, because you chose to drink and drive. First one for politician, all you got to do is say, I'm sorry, I was wrong, admit guilt, and move forward. If you tell the truth and you admit it, then you get a pass from me. You have to be held accountable by the law and everything, but you get a pass. This guy has not done that, and that's why this guy needs to go. City Council member Michael Crane. Let me read the highlight from the Star Telegram today. He's arrested and charged with DWI. Crane, 53, is serving his third term on the City Council representing District 3. Sworn in for his first 2-year term in May of 2021. In a statement after his arrest, Councilmember Crane apologized for the distraction. Distraction? You committed a crime. He apologized for the distraction the incident caused for his family and Fort Worth residents and colleagues. Nothing about I committed a crime, I'm sorry. He says, quote, I regret the concern and uncertainty it has created for the people I care about and serve. So he never admitted guilt. He didn't just say, I was wrong, I'm going to take care of this, I apologize. Don't do this. Instead, he plays the freaking game. You know what? When you play the game on this, get out of our seat. So Councilmember Michael Crane needs to step down ASAP. He needs to be fired. Crane declined to comment today when reached by the Star Telegram. All he has to do is admit and take the heat and say, I'm sorry. He won't do that. Throw the bum out of office. And this is the most important story of the day, perhaps. The band of all bands, the best band of all time, the greatest rock and roll band of all time, is my favorite band and has been since 1994, I think. My band is going to release another album this year. Their 25th and final album is what the report says. And it's very sad for me to even see that. I'm being serious. I've seen the Stones 14 times in concert. I'm friends with the keyboardist of the Stones, Chuck Leavell. I have him on my show every 2-3 years when they tour. I've interviewed Chuck probably 6-7 times over the years. Anyway, so here's what they did. Number one, the Rolling Stones are going to set to release their 25th and final album, according to this report from Radio X in the UK. The legendary rockers Jagger, Keith Richards, and Ronnie Wood are on the cusp of making their return with their 25th and final record. They are currently advertising in Metro London with posters saying the cockroaches are playing, the cockroaches. This is what they've called themselves in, I think, the 70s. When they were touring, they would do like a 300-person show under a pseudonym called the Cockroaches. So they're calling themselves the Cockroaches again. They have posters up around. We can do a QR code, and it goes to a sign that invites you to sign up for WhatsApp updates and then send a not-so-cryptic message which read, "Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name." Mr. Charm is their first song that they're going to release from this last album, or reportedly last album. Mr. Charm on Saturday, April 11th. I'm going to be listening to that song on repeat for like hours when I'm mowing my lawn on Saturday. So I have heard from one of my friends that they're going to tour, but the tour is going to be because Keith's arthritis is so bad. They're going to tour, but they're going to do maybe a week of shows in Vegas, maybe a week of shows in New York, and then a week of shows in London. It might be like, one place here where they do a week, but not every night, like 3 for a week. I will be going to one of those shows. I guarantee you that no matter what, because I will not miss their final tour, perhaps, and it's going to really suck. It's going to suck. I don't mean to be negative on my podcast here, but there it is. This show is brought to you by IRSprob.com, IRSPROB.com, helping good people with IRS problems. And by the way, don't forget 8 p.m. tomorrow, 8 p.m. Central, I'm going to have on Marco Hunter Lopez with his first in-depth, lengthy interview on what really happened at Wylie East and the Islamization and how bad things are there, and the school board excusing it away. This show brought to you by IRSPROB.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. Randy's been my CPA for over 9 years. Use him for IRS problems and tax planning. He is your guy. I'll see you tomorrow for that exclusive, lengthy interview, 8 p.m.